Hey everyone, it's Brother Chris here from Divine Oracle Podcast. I'm going to be stepping out and I'm giving it over to Gillian. Alright, so she'll be actually taking over today's podcast. What you guys know, I'm actually out west right now. I've got a podcast recording to do out here. Are you looking for that hard to find item, spiritual item, that your loved one wants to always get, but you don't know right where to check out? Why not check us out here underneath hauntinglivepodcast.com. Underneath our store, though, we actually have tons of items from dream catchers, crystals, so many more for you. Check us out underneath hauntinglivepodcast.com.
Good morning, good day, my people on Podbeam. We have a special guest today. Her name is Shelley King. I'm going to pass it along to her so she can introduce herself, and then we will get started. Welcome, Shelley.
Hi, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. My name, as you said, is Shelley King. I'm an intuitive energy worker and coach. I work with Reiki, crystals, essential oils. Hold on, there's more. I also work with meditation and tarot and oracle cards. I do come from traditional religion and I've moved into more spiritual religion, but I still do have a base in my traditional religion.
Okay.
So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, so let's get some history on this. When did you start? How old are you when you started your spiritual walk?
This is great. I love and hate this question all at the same time. And the reason for that is because it's never not been a part of who I am. I found paperwork dated back to 1998 when I did my very first astrology chart on myself. So I would have had to have had enough knowledge to know that there's astrology out there and what it is. So we're going back a ways. So it's always been a part of who I am. When did I become more professional in it and I made the conscious choice to come out of the broom closet? That would have been in the last 10 years.
Oh, okay, so kind of new-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of gaining
I
experience.
Still feel like a baby sometimes.
Yeah, I guess when you compare it to some who've been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, yeah, you're considered a newbie.
Right?
Yeah. So what made you decide to go through the spiritual part of your life?
I knew that there was more than what I was taught. I could feel it. I could sense it. I saw proof of it constantly. I knew that spirituality, the lessons that religion teach are not just for a specified few. We all have access to it. We all have the right to it. And I couldn't believe that only one frame of mind was right when we have so many people in the world with so many beliefs.
Exactly, and you want to be able to experience that. So when growing up as a child, you're experiencing a religious aspect. I'm sure a lot of viewers out there have done the religious aspect. I know growing up, I was invited to many different churches, if you want to call them. So I knew quite a bit of different faiths. So you kind of go, what's the right walk and path? I did a few little things on my own, some spiritual walks here and there. And then as I got older, I kind of stepped away from it. So for me, it was kind of I had a family. I didn't have time to spend in that direction, raising 3 kids, and my 3 kids, they all have their own spiritual intuition in their own way. So that kind of segues into the next question. Do you have children or family or nieces and nephews or somebody of a young party related to you that also has the spiritual nature?
Well, I have no children of my own. Unfortunately, I was never blessed. I do have nieces and nephews. Not there yet.
You're the awesome aunt.
Right? I'm the fun one.
That's right.
Like, let's see what happens when they try things out on me. But I'm also the one that's more open to, they can tell me anything and I don't go, that's not for real. Because I know that there's a lot of things out there that I don't understand and that they're going to see. There's a lot of things that I've seen that I didn't understand, so.
It's good to have that.
Right. And it's funny because their parents aren't necessarily as open. So I'm kind of like, all right, I keep it. I don't want to say like I calm it down or anything because I really don't. But I respect where they are on their path and I try not to overstep. But the children know, like if they need to know anything about crystals or energy or how come this didn't work in my life, they just come to me.
Exactly, and then you can kind of help them figure it out and step forward and whatnot. Maybe they can figure it out with your help. That's a good thing.
And that's what I try to do, because I don't believe that I have the answers. I believe they do, and they just have to figure out how to ask the right question.
Yes, those are always the important things, because it's always about the wording of a question, right? So if you word it one way, the answer is completely different versus another way of the same question. My middle daughter right now is going through this in college, and she's like, Mom, I didn't understand the question. I go, did you read it? She goes, yeah, and I still didn't understand it because it was worded wrong. And I'm going, I can't help you there.
I actually did a workshop on using pendulums. In there, I gave some examples of questions, and one of the questions I had was, am I prepared for the new technology coming? But then below it was, am I prepared? As opposed to I am, right? So I had one that said, am I? Questioning whether or not I am, and the other one questioning whether or not I am prepared. And it changed the whole answer, because I might not think I am, but I am, according to, the universe and energy and stuff.
Exactly. It's all about your thought and what you're thinking ahead. So now that, I guess, segues into the next part. I have a couple of lists here of what you actually do. I know you said tarot, oracle, and crystal reader. Do you feel that you get things right more often than not, or is it more of a feeling you get when you're with the person, like the energies they give off and your responses?
So I connect into my higher self, connect to their higher self. So when I get a card, I'm reading it for the very first time for them. Each card, even though it has its standard meaning, something else will come through. So I've had similar readings that mean exactly the opposite because of who I was with and where they sat and the position of the cards, but also with what was coming through. So I actually don't necessarily read the cards in the traditional, this is what it says in the book, because I found it took me years to read the book and try to memorize the cards. And I finally realized that when I made a connection to the cards that I understood with the symbolism that stood out, that's when I got readings that made a difference.
Yeah, the hidden messages behind the cards.
Right, and when you're looking at that exact same card, when you pull it out another time, something else pops to the forefront. And you're like, oh, I've never seen that before. And I've actually had readings even now where I'm like, I have never seen this in this picture before, but it pulled out this time.
Yeah, it's the detail in the cards that pop out more. And it's like you could look at the card 300 different ways and go, wow, this is still a new card. It's an old card, but it's new.
Absolutely. And then if you have different decks, I actually do a series where I compare 4 decks of the same card. And I've made it through the major arcanas and I've made it through the wands. So we're moving through all the suits. But it's interesting because you see the similarities, the things that are general, and then you see the differences that the author puts in, and all of a sudden a symbol in the original makes more sense now because I've seen the example of it in another card that's been clearer. It's so cool. I love it.
Okay, so what cards do you tend to gravitate towards? Are there specific categories, genres, arts?
Oh, good question. I like the tarot, but I also do Lenormand cards. But it's interesting on the genre. I do tend to go to witchy a little bit because I think that's fun. And Celtic, of course, is in my background. But I find I like pictures that are not modern, but not traditional, if that makes sense.
So the kind of in between the two concepts.
Right, where I have one deck, it's called the Fifth Spirit Tarot. And I love it because the kings are queens, the queens are kings. You know what I mean? The Empress doesn't have to be a woman. It's just the energy that presents it. And that's the part that I love about it. I love the idea of not having to be traditional, because when you break down the tarot cards and you break them down into energy, it's completely different. It has a whole different meaning when you do that. And that's, again, one of the ways that I was able to connect so much more intensely with the tarot than I ever had before.
Exactly. And that's usually the helpful thing. And when you're doing the reading for another person, they're more likely to understand if you understand what you're doing. Because if I went to somebody and said, hey, I need my cards read, I'd see the cards laid out and kind of go, I think I understand, but I'm not sure what the interpretation is. So go ahead and explain it to me. And sometimes that can clear completely what I'm seeing. And other times you're just scratching your head.
It's funny because I've had people, like I've gotten readings, and because I know the cards so well, I literally will be like, that's my word. So I have keywords for the cards, and that starts me on the story. If I ever get stuck, I know what my keyword is for the card. So I'll put it all together, and then they'll give me the interpretation because I don't want to tell them what I think. I'm there for them to give me the reading. And guaranteed every time I'm like, never thought about it that way. They come up with something because their symbolism has a slightly different meaning to them. And because the cards are coming through their symbols, they're then interpreting them a little bit differently. So when I do mine, I try to explain why this symbol has caught my eye and what it means to me. And then we go forward and have a conversation as to what it could mean for them.
We've covered tarot or the tarot. And what about the oracle cards? Are you big on that? I go
through stages.
It depends on your day, depends on your feeling.
Yeah, I usually use the oracle as more of an added point at the end of everything, or if I need a one card kind of clarity pull. The reason I like the tarot so much is there is so much symbolism and a story in there. I can get the positives and the negatives of every card within that reading, that it gives me more to contemplate and think about. And for meditation wise, I prefer to do a tarot card than an oracle. But sometimes you just need a really quick answer.
And the oracle can give you a quicker answer than the tarot.
Oracle can totally give you a quicker answer and just straightforward, and it's got a lot of times there's a little description on the card that hits it right on the head and you move on.
And so now on to the crystal reading. That's kind of an interesting thing because I haven't come across a lot of people that do crystal reading. It goes back to many years ago. When I was a teenager, it was kind of like crystals were a big thing amongst our age group back in the early 90s. And we used to read the crystals all the time, think we had the answers. But now that we're here, what's your take on the crystal reading? Like, how do you figure that out?
There's a couple different ways to do crystal readings, more than a couple, but the way that I do it is a little bit different. I have a kind of like a frame set out, and it's got circles on it for past, present, future, and spirit. And then I have the small stones, and you shake them up, you move them, you set your intention into them, and then you drop them on, and where they roll tells me some stuff. And then we look at where they've hit, whether it's in the past, the present, the future, the spirit, the combination of them. And I use chakra stones, so each one of them is connected with the chakra. So now what happens is we have a story of coming into the future. This is what we're going to be focusing on. So we're looking at this, 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 and this. So if you've got like the root chakra, the black obsidian, I think it's obsidian I have, then that would tell me that coming to the future, we're going to be working with security. We're going to be working with safety. We're going to be working with abundance. If you bring in green adventuring and that lands in that, then we're looking at some positive abundance coming in and some support of the security coming. If we have some different stones coming in, then that combination might be we're lacking that and need to focus more on that. It's really interesting. And then I have a little description of each of the stones so a person can read them and then see what stands out for them. Because I do kind of a general summary of each of the stones so that they can kind of see, oh, okay. But we know, like if the throat chakra comes in and it's in the spirit section, well, that means you're likely hearing some things and you need to speak your truth from what you're being connected and divinely guided to do. So that's how that kind of works. There are people, and I have done it too, where you pull out a couple stones or you pull out one or two from a bag and those indicate what you need to work on in that.
Kind of like a blind pull.
Yeah, right? You just random pull and, oh, okay. Or there's also the taking just the stones and dropping them on the table, and whatever kind of rolls closest to you or is in the center, those are the ones that connect to you. But I like having it on that frame because then it contains it from me, and it just gives me guidance as to where to go with the information. Because if you roll a stone and the closest one to you is the root chakra, that's great, but what does that mean? Where if it's in the future or in the current, that changes it a little bit. You know
exactly. I mean? So it changes the outcome depending on where the stone lands and which stone it is. Crystal. Reiki master. I know a couple of people who know Reiki. One lady I know, she's certified in Reiki, so it kind of surprising me that she went that route. she's very much about the feeling of the energy, the power. Sometimes she tries to do distant Reiki when I've got a really bad headache. She's like, I'm going to perform a Reiki and let me know if the headache goes away. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I'm kind of on the fence with the whole Reiki thing. For somebody who's like me, what would you explain, or how would you go about that? Because I'm really on the fence about Reiki. I understand it, but I have my, you know.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is not everything works every single time. It is energy. And if for any reason that we have a block, whether it's the sending of it or whether it's the receiving of it, there are times when it may not work. But what I can tell you is we automatically do it. So even if we're not trained in it and we don't have the symbols and all of that, if you bang your knee, the first thing you do is rub it. And you rub it because your hand is full of chakras, and that helps to bring energy to that area. And because the middle of your palm is actually all the chakras together. So you literally, when you rub that area, you bring heat, you bring healing energy. You're in your brain thinking, oh God, please let this heal. Like, ouch, this really hurts.
Rubbing away the bruise.
Right? But that's what we do automatically. So as much as Reiki is new to us, it's not new to everyone. It's been here forever. They just had somebody who went on a mountaintop, you know, did some time there and came back with all these wonderful ideas and put it into a practice. Now, I feel the energy. I love the feeling of it. I can feel bringing it into my body. I also can feel shutting it off, which is really nice, because sometimes with energy we don't know how to do the shut off. But with the Reiki, we kind of have symbols where we can be like, okay, that's great, thank you, we're going to stop that now.
I'm taking a break, I'm calling it a day, you know, kind of thing. So
exactly. I do most of my Reiki distance Reiki just because a lot of my education was just before COVID and we couldn't do anything in person. Really focused on doing the distance Reiki. It's been fantastic. There's different things that we can do to amplify the energy, which is interesting too. I actually have a bubble bath Reiki. It's set for a time when you need it, when you can have that time to go for a 20-minute bath or shower. And if you can't, just relaxing is fine. But if you can, the water helps to amplify. So that's an idea too. When you've got a headache and it's not quite working, ask her to spend 5 more minutes and dip your finger in a glass of water.
Or something, yes. Water is going to help.
Kind of bring it in, put a damp cloth on your forehead, something like that. That might help increase that and amplify that energy. But sorry. There was a question in there. Did I actually answer it?
I believe you did. Yes, you did answer the question.
I love it. It's changed my life.
Moving on to the animal energy, that kind of thing. How, why, what, who?
I followed the Eden energy method, which is based in Eastern medicine. You've got the meridians, and you follow the meridians in the energy system of the body, and the acupressure points in that. But it's not the same as acupuncture where you touch anything. Yeah, acupuncture where you put anything in. But you can actually focus energy in those areas and still affect. Now, I ended up going to it because I have 2 cats. One of them loves Reiki, and so I can do that with her. In fact, when I go to do any distance Reiki, she's first. I have to do her first, and then I get to go on and do the rest.
You got to pay attention to your your fur babies.
She comes over, will not leave me until I give her some, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
But the other one, if I were to even across the room throw out a symbol, she'd give me the evil eye and run away. And there's strict rules on this, for me at least, and for most practitioners who have respect. If somebody doesn't want it, you don't send it. It's not okay. So when the cat looks at me and says, "nuh-uh," and walks away, I'm like, oh, okay. So then I had, with Eden Energy Medicine, I'm constantly keeping up on that because there's a lot of information that comes through. And they had some training on animal energy medicine. I'm like, woo, I need to check this out. And so I did that. And it was great because a lot of it was chakra stuff that I already knew from the Reiki and from my energy work and that I was already doing. And then I found that my cat would take that. Like, I could do any kind of energy work with her, whether it was just focusing in an area or doing figure 8s or moving the energy around her. She was fine with that. And I'm like, ooh, this is good. She has some intestinal issues, and I just want to give her as much healing that I can. So that's how that got started. And then from there, I usually know what she's thinking about me. So
you have an accepting cat and a non-accepting cat.
Right? And it led me to grow more and learn different ways. And that's one of the things that I like with this work is you're constantly learning. And if something doesn't work one way, there's another way that it will.
You can always find the way, yeah.
Yeah, there's ways around it. There's ways to figure it out. It's just finding that right balance. Same with people. I love essential oils. I've been using essential oils forever. But my mom can't handle them the same way as I can. And yet I have the sensitive skin and she doesn't. Get a rash before I do. So we have to find the oils that work with her in the right timing.
Exactly. So, and that right into the aroma touch. There you go. See how you did that?
I did.
And you didn't even know it was coming up?
I did not. That's amazing. Aroma Touch is actually a technique created through doTERRA essential oils. So that's the oils that I use. It is a way to bring homeostasis balance to the body, and it's done through a specific set of oils applied to the back and the feet and the head in a specific way. What I love about this is it's actually beneficial for me too. It's very meditative, it's very calming, it's just the most amazing thing to do. It is in person, so obviously over COVID I didn't get much exposure into that, but I did keep it on family and friends. Again, same type of thing. I've had clients who can't handle all the oils, so we have to pick and choose which ones we use. The actual system of how it gets applied doesn't change. So if I have 6 oils to apply, but we're only going to apply 4, I still pretend I'm applying 6. And it's so amazing how it works. But it's one of the best things that I love.
Okay. It sounds like it the way you're explaining it. So it's like, you seem to be very enthusiastic about most of what you do in your job. Job, hobby.
It is my job.
Yeah.
This is my livelihood now.
Okay. So you've turned it into a career. So that's a good thing.
I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be able to do this, and I took it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so there's a couple more on this to ask. For the crystal healing, how do you go about doing that to anybody?
Yeah. Well, and again, because it's energy, it can be done distantly and it can be done in person. So crystal healing is when you observe the body and you do set into your intention. It's based on what you're feeling needs to come up. You can feel the energy, where the blocks are, where the changes are. We look at the chakras. You can sometimes look at points, but basically you lay crystals on the body. If I'm doing it distance, I lay it on a pretend body and it still gets sent. What's interesting is it can actually be put even on a strip of paper on a name.
Okay, so you can use a person's name.
Yeah, and send them that healing. If you're not looking at specific spots, right? So I had a friend who was going through a traumatic experience. I put crystals on her name with that intention to send that energy to her, knowing that she was accepting of it. And it was just crystals to help deal with trauma or the excessive emotions that come in and self-love and bring that forward. And so that was a benefit and a help to her without me being on her all the time about,
kind of help with that internal support. Yeah. The extra boost.
Yeah, so we could talk about other things. We didn't have to worry about that part because that was already being supported.
Yeah.
But we set it up depending on what's going in. I have a bunch of crystals that I'll pick from. I actually utilize the crystals even in my Reiki.
Off topic, but same topic. What are your favorite crystals to use?
There's so many. That's not an okay question.
I really got you there.
My top, it's not even a main crystal. The one I use energetically for me is selenite. And so when I go and do readings and I have a day at a fair or anything like that, when I come home, there are 2 things that I have. I will take a salt shower. So I've got a salt bar that I use in my salt shower to clean off. But that I usually do the next day now because I've learned that my nice big stick of selenite and my grounding mat are great for I go to sleep with that and I wake up better. So it absorbs any excess energy that I have going through me and takes that away. When I don't do that, I wake up sore, stiff, can't move, everything aches. I'm just like, oh.
You're done. You're done before you even get moving for the day. You're like, my day is already over.
Yeah, every step is like, oh, I forgot. Oh my gosh. So I'm really glad that I found that, because it makes it, it's really hard when you've done a whole day of a fair and then you have to come home and shower.
Yeah, that just makes your day extra long.
Now I'm awake. Right? Because I usually shower in the morning. So I'm like, oh, great. So being able to just come home, curl into bed, hold my selenite, and I will use it for headaches. I will use it for backache. The other one that I've used, and was in the past, I haven't had to use it for a while, malachite. Now, malachite has a warning because the powder of it can be toxic.
Yes.
But I was at a fair one time when, I'm sorry, this is too much info. You can edit it.
No. We love stories. We love all of that. So the more the merrier, right? Because it gets down to where we need, right? Dig deep.
Well, that's just it. So I was at a fair. This was 100 years ago. And it became that time of the month and I didn't know it was coming. And so, of course, I got cramps that started. And I still had a few hours of walking around this fair. And I'm like, I can't. And there happened to be a crystal lady there. I'm like, hey, do you have anything for? This was before my education on crystal. And she's like, I think this will work. She gave me the small little piece of malachite and I stuck it in my pocket, and 20 minutes later, no cramps.
Wow.
And that was my first like, whoa, this freaking worked. Oh
the wow God. Moment.
And then I shared it with friends from that point on. I keep giving away my malachite because I'm like, here, try this.
Yeah, and of course you let them know the warning, right? So, hey, be careful.
Of course, yeah. So it's only if it drops or if it's raw, like you need to wash your hands after, and it's because of the iron content.
Something in it that makes it toxic or dangerous to people. So
yeah, and again, it's not dangerous to touch per se, but you don't want to touch and then rub your eyes.
No. You don't want to do that. But
that's the raw. Yeah. The polished is fine to touch.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of bracelets in that, but it's funny because I haven't been able to do malachite beads because they're always reconstituted, and I'm just like, no, you pulled something apart and recreated something else, and I don't feel like that's real malachite. So I haven't
the processing
added that to my bracelets. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. So
which is on your website too. Is you've got a few things on there that you're looking at. So let's walk right into that one and tell me about your website. What do you sell? What do you do?
So of course my services are on my website, but I also create energy bracelets which incorporate lava stones for essential oils, gemstones to raise the vibration, and magnets to keep everything going. So if you have a pacemaker, don't order my bracelet. That would not be a good thing.
That'd be a bad thing.
Right?
You get a little extra pitter-patter going.
I do say there's magnets there, so please read. I make mini crystal grids. Now, these are little itty-bitty, and of course I don't have one beside me to show. But anyways, we're not on TV. The mini crystal grid, it comes with, because it's a kit, so it comes with a mini tower and all the waystones and desire stones and a clear quartz point and the board for it to go on. And they're great for travel or for small space. I have them set up around my house. I actually have an abundance one in my feng shui corner of my house. I have one that's by my plants with the bumblebee jasper tower, just to be like, hey, grow, support you. I have one at my desk to bring in focus and communication. I have like little ones all over the place. I have ones that I even sit and meditate with because it can bring in a little bit more than just holding that one crystal. And it's very soft and gentle energy, but I always say if you want like harmony in your kitchen, hide it behind the fruit bowl. Nobody will see it, but it's able to bring in a little bit more cohesive energy. The kitchen's the fun area. That's where it goes.
Or you can have it on full display and be proud as it's there, and if people ask, it becomes a conversation point.
Absolutely. But a lot of the things that I bring in are actually for people who don't know where to start and need to do things one at a time. Like bring this in, try this out, see if that works. Which leads us to our other kits. So I have wellness and chakra kits. So they're essential oils that are diluted in a roll-on with a crystal and information on how to make it work. But basically what it is if you need to bring in more focus, there's an oil that you can put on your pulse points. You can just inhale it. You can roll it on your reflexology points on the bottom of your feet. And that way it supports you throughout the day and you can reapply as needed. And then you have the stone that when you set that intention, so when you kind of open the package, you're like, oh, I have this is what I'm working with. You take a couple minutes to just sit with that stone and say, this is the goal that I want from here. And then you carry that with you, and that's that physical reminder that that's what you're working on. So it helps to raise your vibration as well as the oil.
Yeah.
And they work together. It's a great starting point for people who don't know how to do this. How do you change your world energetically when you have no idea?
Exactly. You got to have a starting point and a finishing, and then you build from there.
Exactly. And it's one of those things that helped me throughout. Like, I did one bit at a time. Had I not done that, I would have been way overwhelmed and likely curled up in a ball somewhere going, I can't do it anymore.
So we're going to kind of do the wrapping up a little bit. I would love to invite you back because I'm going to have more questions. So at some point in time when you've got freedom, let Brother Chris know, and you know, we can continue.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so your website is ShelleySacredspace.com. So anybody who's interested, who's listening, they are more than welcome to go there. They can email you, contact you through your email, I'm assuming. That's on site.
There's one attached to the website. I also have my king.oils@hotmail.com. because that was the first one.
Oh, okay, so you're original, yeah.
Yeah, my OG email.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook under Shelley Sacred Space. There might be some dots and underscores in there, but yeah, you would find me. And I post regularly, and I'm also on YouTube, and I do a lot of videos on YouTube.
Okay.
That are helpful, like the tarot series that I was doing, and short little meditations for, you know, bringing that into your moment that day.
One more question.
Yes.
Do you have any other stories that you want to include? Anything that comes to mind?
I will share one.
Okay.
So the start of my essential oil journey consisted of a time when I was prepared to go for back surgery.
That's a big surgery.
It was, yeah. And I had lovely Western drugs that I was on for pain, and I had injections in my back for pain, and none of them gave me a lot of relief. Then and I shouldn't say introduced, because I had been using essential oils already, but I had not used them for health benefits. And I was introduced to the doTERRA oils, and peppermint became one of the first oils I used. And I would roll it on my back where the pain was, and I would get 20 minutes of relief that I did not experience with any of the pain meds.
Peppermint is good for a lot, including breathing issues for those who are asthmatic, bronchitis, nasal capacity problems. It's amazing.
Sinuses.
Yes.
It's also great for keeping you awake, which is fun, or focusing.
Or letting you go to sleep because you can't breathe. So when you breathe it in, it's like you can breathe and you can finally, you know, go to bed. So peppermint is like anything minty, spearmint, peppermint, eucalyptus. It is amazing.
It's my go-to for a lot of things. And I was at a show one time, we had no air, and it was the mid of July, and it was really, really hot. And I was using peppermint to keep me cool. And I helped the other vendors. So that was the relief I had. And then I make my own skincare because everything else causes me to break out. In the sense of doTERRA, and why I chose it is because I had added frankincense into my skincare, which was a great big thing, because back then frankincense is super expensive.
Yes.
And I went to the health food store, this is before doTERRA, and I'm looking, and I found one, and I read it really carefully, and I checked it over, and I added it to my skincare. And then when I got doTERRA and I had to remake it, I'm like, let me just use that one, even though I have a whole bottle of the other one. Let me use that one and see. And I had to dilute everything 3 times. So when I went back to check that original bottle, I literally took a magnifying glass and found this little spot on the label that looked like a line that had writing that said 50% alcohol. That's why I use doTERRA. Because I know it's pure, and they have third-party testing for it. And because of that, I've been able to do so much more in my life. The confidence that I have, the ability to take chances between essential oil, energy work, coaching, belief in myself, belief from other people in what I do, has all led me to this point where I've been able to take this step. And to
good.
Create this life, and I'm so blessed for that.
That's good. I'm glad that you've gotten where you are today in all aspects, and that your health has improved by seeing you here today.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
a testament to doing it. And as a disclaimer, always read the fine print. I know sometimes the print is so small it looks like a line, but as you pointed out, you need a magnifying glass for those little tiny bottles because they're only like 2 inches tall, not like an inch tall, and you expect to read something that small?
Yeah.
Better have good eyesight.
The other thing that I will say is don't trust everyone. Like, you need to do your research. You need to look it up. I can say a ton of things, but again, I love essential oils, but my mom reacts to them differently. So we have to do our research and our due diligence with that stuff. So always, always, always do that.
Always double check, always indicate, always look through everything. So yeah.
Always question.
Well, I appreciate for you coming and doing the interviewing today. Again, Shelley King, thank you at Shelley's sacredspace.com. And to everybody else out in the Podbeam world, like, share, follow, subscribe, join us. Send us comments, feedback. We're welcome to everything. It was nice meeting you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Follow us here at Haunting Live, our new shows, and we are honored to have a brand new co-host on our shows now. Yolanta Mary is our co-host and introduces people to the show and discusses different topics on the show. So we're really happy to have her here, so go check out our brand new episode, Haunting Live.